Well, it's 7:15 on Saturday morning and we're hoping to leave Fakarava. Amazing, anchor up with no problem. Timing through the passes is always critical, and I was hoping to be at the end of the ebb so that we would not get wind over tide conditions. But unfortunately that did not seem to be the case. Pretty rough getting through the pass. Pretty rough, very rough actually. It's as though the tide had already begun to turn in. I was expecting slack water. Well, the video really doesn't do it justice. You can see the breaking waves though astern, and those waves were pretty rough and very close together, especially when we were going over the more shallow part of the pass. So all in all, it was actually a very, very rough passage through the pass. Clearly it had already begun to flood, and so it was against the wind. Pretty nasty. Looking back, you can see the breaking waves that were catching hold of the boat and tossing us around. The seas were pretty rough through there, and now we're out of it. So we were out of the pass safely, but into quite big swell on our way north up to Taou. The only reason we were going to Toau was to see Mike Campbell, who it turned out was right next door to us in Fakarava, so by going there I could get the fridge fixed. Being pretty lazy, we're just using the Genoa, got the wind almost dead astern, so it's actually doing quite well. We're making over 5 knots in 16 knots of following wind, apparent wind. Anyway, time for coffee, I think. It's 8:30 in the morning, breakfast time. So here we have the passage. We've come out of the north end of Fakarava through that really rough pass, and we're about halfway now. So we're coming in the southeast pass in Taou, and should be another about 11:30 in the morning. Before midday we should arrive there. Very rolly but very pleasant sail under head sail alone. Our route into Taou, and up into the southeast corner there, the pass there, and then down right into the very corner. It looks as though it's going to be very, very protected from southeast winds, which presumably is why I'm told I can pick up a mooring buoy there, which would be brilliant. No worries about getting stuck on bommies. So that's the track at the moment. This is when you're happy to be going downwind and not upwind into that swell. It's quite big swell. As it is, we're rolling around a lot, but if we were bashing into that lot, it would be a lot more uncomfortable. So at least we're going downwind, almost not quite dead downwind, but not far off. Genoa's doing a really good job. I'm hoping the timing will work out well for the pass into Toau. We should be getting there around slack before the flood, and so I'm hoping we'll get flat water, but until you actually get to these passes you just don't know what exactly is happening, because the timing is never exactly right. We can just see the atoll there. I'm going to be moored just inside that corner on the inside of the atoll. Very, very low. So here we have our course, coming up with the following wind through the pass, hopefully at flat water, and then down through some very useful lines already given on the chart to avoid the coral. Here we have the southeast corner of Taou, and the mooring that I'll be taking up is just inside that thin strip of land. Another hour maybe till we get to the pass. Still a way to go. There's a good leading line through the pass to make sure you stay safe, and then from there I can turn to port and there's another line to guide. Well, I was looking very, very carefully ahead to try to judge the water in the pass, and clearly there was breaking waves on the south side off to port where the shallows were at the edge of the pass. But in the pass itself, I could not see any of the white caps, the sign of rough water. And as I got closer, amazingly, it was a beautifully flat, calm passage. There was absolutely no problem with wind, or I was a bit worried that the wind was so strong it would give a problem. But with the ingoing tide just beginning and the wind more or less in that same direction, it worked out really well. So we got to our mooring buoy, and then I was able to get Mike Campbell on board to have a look at the fridge. So Mike came over with his dinghy to help me tie up to the mooring buoys, which was great, made life a lot easier for me. And then he jumped on board straight away and started having a look at my fridge problem, and decided actually it was overgassed, and very carefully tuned it up, and it began behaving perfectly. And here we see what a beautiful place Toau is, a really lovely atoll, absolutely unspoiled. The wind is still blowing, but from the southeast, as it should be. And here in Taou is very, very pleasant. We have 5 buoys, mooring buoys, put down courtesy of UNESCO, and so free to use to protect the reef from anchoring. Very, very nice. See one of the yellow buoys in use. Lovely to feel secure and not have to worry about wrapping the anchor chain around buoys. Amazingly, on the next door boat to me, I've discovered there was someone I knew from South Africa from about 11 or 12 years ago, and several of the cruisers, Mike and Jutta, his partner, and a couple of other cruisers from other boats, we all got together on the beach nearby, had great fun, and then on to Mike's boat later on. In fact, it was so lovely there that I decided to stay another night, and we all got together on another boat that evening. Very, very sociable, very nice. So I had to get going the next morning early to catch the tide and hope for flat water in the pass, being warned that that was quite likely not going to happen. I might have to wait around a bit. Leaving Taou, coming up to 8 o'clock. We're on our way to the pass out of Taou, and we're following our track that we came in on because I know that was perfectly safe. So that way I know I won't hit anything. Well, just coming towards the pass now and pausing a little bit to make sure that the water is as flat as possible. The tide is on the turn, and just waiting a little bit. There's a boat ahead of me that knows this pass really, really well, and the advice is to wait maybe another 10 minutes perhaps, and then keep over onto the slightly more south side, and things are looking pretty good actually. I did wonder a little bit when I saw some white caps in the distance in the pass as I was getting closer, but hoped that maybe if I kept over to starboard I'd be okay. Yeah, we're getting the swell now from the incoming, the waves outside are making themselves felt in the pass here. And it's pretty rough. pretty well through now, but it was certainly very rough. And that was around the turn of the tide, with a southeast wind of about 12 knots or so, so not that strong a wind, but against the ebb, it was certainly having an effect. Well, we've got a booby keeping us company. We're coming around the north end of Taou, and in fact on the outside of the atoll there is, I'm being told and I've seen on the chart, a very protected little anchorage, and the snorkeling just there is supposed to be really good, so something for another time maybe. Well, it's pretty big still, we're rolling about a lot. A good 2.5 meters. There's a big one coming. And over we go. And then down we come, ready for the next one. Quite a lot of white caps showing the strength of the wind. It's a force 4 basically. We just jibed around. We've got the wind coming in over our port side now, we're on port tack, and this tack should take us all the way down to Tahiti now. It's 2 days away, but the wind should be pretty consistent from the southeast, and we're making a southwest course, so the wind should be good for us. And looking over there, we should be looking roughly in the direction of Yacht. I think that's the name of the place, the little anchorage on the north end of Toau, which is very protected. You come to it from the outside, they've got a leading line showing you where to come in safety, avoiding any rocks or bommies. So it's supposed to be very good snorkeling. Beautiful day, nice wind, and we're sailing, and very pleasant. There's the little anchorage, approach from the outside of the atoll. As I say, very good snorkeling, I've been told, and would be a nice place to go into, but unfortunately I've already taken more time up here than I had intended, so it's to Tahiti now. 218 miles to Venus Point. Well, it looks as though there are about 5 boats in that little anchorage. There's plenty of space for them there, I understand. So they must be enjoying some nice snorkeling. Good day for it today, lovely bright sunshine, and the cloud has gone right down to about, maybe 10%, very little cloud. Very pleasant. Well, here we are coming past the north end of Taou, and the wind has dropped right down. There's only 9 or 10 knots of apparent wind from astern, so we've slowed right down as a result, and I'm feeling pretty unhappy about the fact that I was busy with my fridge, to be honest, but I didn't think about sorting out my third reef line, which is preventing me from raising a full main. And obviously with this light wind, we really need to do that to get a decent speed. Otherwise, we're going to take a lot longer to get to Tahiti than I was hoping. So I'm thinking what I might do actually is bring the boom in so I can get to the third reef line around the boom, and maybe just cut it there so that that releases the line, and then I can raise the main completely, fully. I don't think I'm going to need my third reef on this passage. The wind is supposed to be getting lighter and lighter as we go towards Tahiti. So the third reef shouldn't be needed, so to cut it and have it no longer available shouldn't be a problem. So that's what I'm thinking anyway. I'll just let it go a little bit longer and see what the wind does. So here we are coming from the north end of Toau to come towards Tahiti, 2-day passage and hopefully a very nice sail.